to the next session, which is effectively our second panel discussion session of the day, the new digital frontier, AI, RPA and Big Data Analytics. Now before I call on the honorable panel members who are here to enlighten all of us, few points of discussion I would like to highlight to you. Cost versus benefit, are banks creating tangible value with AI and automation? Making use of data and connected devices for better services, rise of AI and ML, doom and the gloom in banking technology and many more. So without taking further time, let me introduce the honorable panel of speakers in the order of the sequence. Joining us first, and please help me welcome with a big round of applause, Mr. Samir Bhatankar, Vice President AML and KYC from DBS Bank. Samir, welcome to the panel. Please take your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Sasidhar Vavilala, EVP Business Intelligence Unit from Suryoday Small Finance Bank. A big round of applause to Sasidhar. Welcome to the panel. Please take your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Swaminathan Krishnamurthy, Vice President, Head Strategy and Planning, ESAF Small Finance Bank. A big round of applause to Swaminathan ji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please take your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Deepak Bhatia, DGM IT from Exim Bank. A big round of applause to Deepak. Deepak, welcome to the panel. Please take your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Murty, Industry Thought Leader on Banking. A big round of applause to Murty. Welcome on the panel. Please take your seat. And now let me introduce and welcome our honorable panel moderator for this panel, Ms. NEHA KABRA, Head AML from DCB Bank. A big round of applause to NEHA. NEHA, welcome to the panel. Please take your seat. So NEHA, all over to you. And looking forward to a great session. All the best.
Thanks a lot. Good morning, everyone. And of course, we had one round of panel discussion in the morning, and with the new thing that Mr. Gaurav has just mentioned, if I'm not mistaken the name. I would like to introduce myself and the team members, and it really gives me an immense pleasure to be part of this panel group where there are representatives not only from SFBs, private banks, but even from the Exim Bank as well, with a rich and in-depth knowledge about the AI, RPA, and the chatbot sort of automation type of things that we are currently seeing in the world going around, right? So that is about my team. That it has already been introduced, so I'll not take much of the time there, and we'll start with our conversation. Well, to start with, the question comes to my mind is, what is AI, right? The simplest answer to this probable question is, when I Google, I am fond of shoes, footwears and all those stuff. So when I do a Amazon Googling onto what are the new ballerinas which are coming up in the market, this AI really helps me in getting more of the new patterns which are coming up in the market, and that is where the AI stands for. And that's the easiest example that we can think about what exactly is AI. Okay, now not really further explaining about AI, because I am sure that there are experts more than me who knows much more about it. I would just start with why we need AI at this point in time. We have never been talking about AI in the past some couple of years. AI have started, guys, because we have now mass data that needs to be churned. Also, human resources have become a little bit more of expensive, and it's like more churning of the resources is happening at the bank end and at any ends. Basically, people are no more loyal. I remember those days when my grandfather used to say that, beta, we have started with this organization and we will be feeling proud of staying with this organization forever, and ending our career with it. And that is no more the case. And that is where probably we want to have AIs being built up into the system, so that our knowledge remains with the organization, though people may go, right? So that is where AI is right now more getting used for. Also, before starting my conversation and discussion with my panelists, a very famous quote that comes to my mind is, machines are becoming artificially intelligent and humans are becoming naturally stupid. So I think that defines what exactly is AI in more peculiar terms. Yeah. So that is where, I mean, just to set the stage, that is where what is AI and what we should be knowing from our discussion right now is in gist. Let me start my panel discussion with Mr. Swaminathan. Sir, AI is no more a myth or a most abused word in the recent era of the rise of chat GPTs, Alexa, Google Assistants, help me write days, etc. How can you think that AI, RP or big data analysis can bring a new resolution to the world? And how can be this taken by banks, customers and the intermediaries? What are your thoughts on about it?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. It's not provoking actually. When we said that AI, I have attended so many panels and I have been part of some conferences. This word which was most used in many conferences, we used to think like they are just saying this and how artificial it becomes so intelligent, the machine becomes so intelligent and learns also. Because AI, ML was synonymous, they were putting these two words together. But nowadays when we see, we use ChatGPT, I think everybody would have subscribed for it probably, at least the free version. Okay, so the point I want to make here is, ChatGPT or all those AI engines work in such a way that the human factor which is limiting, there's no wear and tear, there's no tiredness, it runs the script multiple times, and whatever it crunches data, humongous data these days, everywhere people are just giving electronic trace. I think we give electronic footprints everywhere. So crunching all those data will definitely require AI. Without AI, it will be too difficult. I'll just quickly take a simple case to just explain it. If you go to your these images folder, and if you want to just group the selfies, you can do just by a touch of a button, right? So if you want to people, it groups all the photos. See, this is done by AI only. And if you want to take out the 1,000 odd photos and try to group people with you, your spouse and kids, etc., it will be too difficult, right? So the human limitation is really supplemented. That is, it is mitigated, and then the engine works very fast. So the ability for the machine to really crunch so much of data, the vast crunching of data, and apart from that, it really helps you. It helps you to focus on your risk factors, identify the risk factors. You can configure system in such a way that these things are taken care of, and then that's how you improve your productivity of these things. So AI ML takes away the work and things like that. It's not so. You require more skilled people to handle AI. I would also ask Sasi doing analytics. I think we'll have more things to talk about. Yes.
I don't think you need any introduction on further detailing on what is AI, what is ML, those details. For more than a decade, banking especially has been using ML, which is a subset of AI extensively, especially in risk-based scorecards, fraud scorecards, and also propensity of customers. It has been widely used, and also the chat bots have been used for quite many years. So what even RPA has done, especially in the ops side of banking, RPA is being done quite extensively. But now what is happening is the IPA. RPA is becoming intelligent process automation. The intelligence is coming at play at every step. So the entire campaign management, cross-sell analytics has been done at least, some of the large banks have been doing it for nearly 1.5 decades. And many of the recent entrants have been doing at least more than 5 years. So what is coming out very clearly thanks to the new generative thing, it's like, I've read a quote, there is a lot of hype about AI and ML. It is like hype about Elon Musk. It always lives up to its reputation. He always lives up to his reputation of hype. So there is always hype, a lot of chatter around AI ML. What is now the current hype or current chatter is about generative AI. So what is generative is a machine started thinking like a human. And in banking parlance, a large part of the job is white collar job. And Sam Walton, about 6 years back, I recently heard an interview of Sam Walton. 6 years back, he was predicting ML will largely, generative AI will largely replace the blue collar jobs. That was the original prediction. And in terms of scheme of things, the last things to be replaced were artists or coding, programming or architecture. These were the last of the jobs that were supposed to be replaced as per the early predictions of 2017 or 16. Come 2021-22, the same Sam Walton is saying he never expected that a white collar job will be replaced by AI. So the way now the generative AI is working, it is able to predict a human. It is able to replicate a human and can do much better than human jobs, especially any repetitive job humans find is boring. Whereas a machine can keep doing it and keep improvising it on a constant basis. If you are looking at growth hacking, primarily growth is a function of what do we do something new to make an improvement, or what is that we are improving an existing process. A sum total of these two typically comes growth. So a human mind always want to do something new rather than keep on improving that 1%, 2% on an existing process. It's a boring activity. So the machines are extremely good at it. So that is something, it is inevitable. It's like 2008 or 2007 of the Flipkarts of the India. That time the startups have come. There are a lot of chatter in terms of let us see what these people will do. And come 2017 UPI, and there are a lot of chatter. Okay, this is the new payment system. Come, let's see what people will do. And now this, I personally believe this auto generative AI is just at the starting point. Come next 3 to 5 years, you'll see a very different banking.
Very important, Sachi. The important take from the discussion so far is that AI is important because it doesn't make the mistake as what human would be doing it, considering it's a monotonous job. And it's a real fact of the life, guys. If you keep on doing the same thing, we do become expert, but at the same time, the job become monotonous. So that is important. That is where the importance of AI lies. It's very well said. However, my next question to Mr. Samir. Being from the KYC ML space in the banking sector, what do you think that has changed over the last couple of years that we are talking about AI in the banking industries, including the AML, fraud or whichever sector that it is?
Right, thank you for the question, Neha. First of all, I'd like to make the statement that these will be my personal views. My organization will not be responsible for what I quote here. Okay, so starting with that, I will give it a different perspective to this particular aspect of AI, RPA, or you call it a machine learning. So, when we talk about the bank is all depends on the trust of their customer. Now, in a recent time, as you guys have seen, there are so many fines which has been put it on the banks by the regulators, which has created that kind of a uncertainty in the mind of the customers. Now, when I talk on behalf of the bank, the most important factor for me is the trust of the customer. Now, when we talk about how I continue gaining that trust from my customer, is that how I improvise myself with the help of the technology. Now, when I talk about the help of the technology, the banking has been happening since many years. So you will ask the question, why does it a sudden requirement of the technology in the banking? Because it's been happening since before the independence as well, right? But the kind of the financial crimes which has increased over a period of a time, you will see they are more on a technology base. So when we talk here in the banks about implementing certain technology-based processes, the fraudsters are always one step ahead of us. So considering that, it is a sudden need which has come to maintain that reputation in the market or the financial industry by any particular bank is the adaptation of the technology, how efficiently they can utilize the same, right? Now when we talk about utilizing the same for the AML and the KYC, mainly the pain point what we usually have is that at the one side where your size of the customer increases, at the other side the number of alerts which has generated for the transactions which they carried out also increases. Now there been a point where certain large organization having an army of people to take care of, or disposing those alerts. Considering that the human limitations to follow the particular process, how the RPA used it's a robotic. So it's been the years that we heard that Japan has created some kind of a robot which helps in this process, helps in that process. The similar utilization of the RPA is usually a process driven. Means you will try to utilize the data to use RPA for, it would not something what you should prefer for. So that's a kind of a slight difference between the RPA and the AI, that the RPA is mainly process driven and the AI is more of a data driven. So when we talk about the KYC, now for example, I'll tell you the kind of a KYC advisory which usually happens in the banking internally, where there the one particular question comes 10 times in a day for that advisor to give the advice upon. Now considering these kind of a human dependent processes which doesn't have a much of the quality which is coming out, these are the things which can usually utilize by implementing a bot. So when we talk about the bot, what the bot does, so basically the RPA requires the structured data. So if we have those particular certain list of the answers which is readily available, you can create easily a bot who will answer the queries of the a branch people who raise the one particular question at the multiple stages. A similar way when we talk about the sanction screening. Now when we talk about the sanction screening, there is a large set of a professional negative database which is available, which has more than a 90 million of data available. Against that, if you put your customer database and screen it, definitely it's gonna generate those number of alerts. So the bot can sit on those a level 1 where they can take care of those particular alert, dispose it off, and pass it on to a senior level where they can take the decision. So the reason to mention these particular processes to explain that how the process driven RPA can help implementing those or streamlining those processes, because when I talk about the trust of the customer, the financial losses what bank make is all something what depicts the kind of the stringent processes what banks follow, which customers usually come across. So to gain that confidence of the customer, these kind of technology driven processes if they have, which will eliminate the kind of financial losses which can occur due to the human intervention. So now talking about the other side, artificial intelligence, it's more talk on the data. Now earlier we had those sets of the data but doesn't know how to utilize it. But when the financial industry become competitive to attract the customers, that's where it has come into the picture. How the data can be utilized much more better way, in a much crisp way, to utilize it for the different set of requirements. Now, when I'm talking about here the requirements, I also give one example that I remember in the days of 2007 to 2008, when my team has generated alerts and which were closed as a false positive, it has also created that kind of a business lead to the particular team. So for example, if somebody has recently sold the property and there's a certain large amount which has come into his account and which has generated the alert, that also gives a lead to my personal banker or my relationship manager to sell certain products to that particular customer to utilize that lump sum amount which he has received in his account, right? So the kind of a data, how you utilize it's all up to you. Because earlier there was a human intervention in the data and it was all limited to the capability of that particular individual, how he utilized the data. But now with the artificial intelligence coming into the picture, we have most stringent ways, the strategic ways which we can utilize the data and gain much out of it. Now, for example, when you go on a Myntra and you look for the certain clothes, there are certain intimation which you receive that the size 42 fits to you as per your previous purchases. So This is nothing but the AI which gives you that kind of heads up, which is a kind of a feel-good factor for the customer, right? So after all, everything ends at the customer, how you can maintain their trust,
Yeah.
or how you can attract the more customer, right? So
Very valid point, Samir, that you have brought up to the point, to the forum, is that customer is the king. And I mean, AI has actually come into place because the king has changed his requirements, right? I mean, whatever were the previous requirements of the king were, and it has changed now, and that is where the AI is more important. Other important thing that I got it from your conversation, Samir, is that fraudsters are one level ahead of us, and that is where more of technology and data would be needed by the banks or by the financial institutions to really work upon and to understand where are we placed and how can we utilize it to curb the crimes in the financial market. Carrying over to that, Mr. Murty, my question to you is that how do you feel that, the same point, continuing with the same point, what do you think, what are your thoughts on how can we use AI to curb the frauds or use those technology in our segments?
Thanks, Neha. I think we have heard Anurag speaking just before this session. He stole the thunder, and actually he gave so many good examples, right? How technology can help curb the frauds which are happening. So my 2 cents is that it is really required. It is a necessity that you adopt the latest technology to actually curb your frauds in your organizations, especially the banks. Banks is all about trust, right? Why would I come and invest something in a particular bank? It's because I have a trust on the bank. So use the technology to ensure that none of the proliferation happens, especially on the frauds. Now look at the kind of volumes and data which is increasing on a day-to-day basis. It's humanly impossible. Even if you put thousands of people, it is not possible to actually go through each and every transaction, catch it, even if you have a 2i principle, 4i principle, 6i principle. So use technology there, right? Put the right governance around the technology. Just putting up RPA or chatbot doesn't help you. You have to even govern the bots. Sometimes they also misbehave. It is not that once you put a bot, it keeps working as you want. So you have to keep governing that. That's very important, because I have personally seen that you put bots, but they start misbehaving because of some tech flaws, right? And the kind of evolving trends in money laundering, the kind of threats which are happening every day, as I think I completely agree with Samir, they're always one step ahead. You implement the technology, they know how to break the technology, right? How to work around that. Third one is, if all the regulated bodies, be it banks or any of the regulated bodies, they have to be on the toenails, but you cannot go out of that regulated environment, right? Cost and time efficiency is something which you can actually achieve by putting technology around it. It's like cost per transaction, etc. That is very important. The bottom line, the capital infusion is shrinking, the regulatory costs are increasing. How do you actually balance it out? That's important in this kind of thing. And continuous monitoring, and you have to be on top of things all the time, making sure that you actually minimize it to the core. I wouldn't say that you wouldn't have anything, you should not have anything, but there will be some instances where you have to mitigate as much as possible.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Murty. 2-3 takeaways from your discussion so far. One important thing that you have assured us that our jobs will be safe, which is an important concern for all of us all, like with the chat GPT, with chatbots coming into place. At times, even I do have that fear whether I'll be there in the industry 2 years down the line, or there would be a bot sitting in my place saying that, okay, this is done, that is not done, types of thing. But having taken, we'll take that thing in our separate discussion as in a later half. However, my question to you, Mr. Deepak, as one of the important thing which Mr. Murty has highlighted is that the money is not so easily available, right? I mean, banks and financial institutions are in very much stress to have earning per share or cost benefit analysis being done. So what are your thoughts on to like the cost benefit analysis with respect to AI and RPT to employ those technology in the organization? What are those factors you think about?
Yeah, thanks Neha, and of course, as my fellow speakers have discussed about AI or RPA or chatbots, so there is no doubt that we need all these technologies in place. But the real question comes when we discuss in boardroom, from where you are going to get this money. Ultimately, business is all about money. So we may talk here about so many things, AI is going to do this, that, bot will do this, that. But when you go to your CFO, they will simply ask, how are you going to generate the money and how much cost is involved? So I believe doing a cost benefit analysis is extremely important, but most of the time we fail to do this. So if we keep things simple, so what are my value drivers if I am taking any AI or chatbot based product? So what values it is going to drive? So generally if we see in a simple framework, one can be acquisition of new customers, second can be reduction in cost, third can be reduction in manpower. You have to have tangible outputs when you discuss in terms of cost benefit analysis or discussing with management. Because if something is intangible, it is all about gyan. Sorry, gyan doesn't work. And what are my cost drivers against all these value drivers which I'm getting? So cost can be your hardware, your software, or your manpower involved in it. Sorry to say, but most of the time what we do, we take most difficult project while implementing these technologies. Fascinating because of this. Now ChatGPT has come, or somebody has done something with bot. But always remember, unless you have time-bound projects in place, unless the tangibles are clear from day one itself, it is difficult to justify the cost. Second thing, what I have seen in my professional career, that most of the time we leave these technologies towards these experts. So somebody has data scientist or has done some RPA or chatbot expert. So in organizations, we have a tendency to call that person or agency, you do this. But the issue is when you have a hammer in your hand, every problem looks like a nail. And you keep hitting here and there and you don't know where I have to get the benefit. So second thing is business has to get involved in all these processes. So unless you have something in place where business sees value, sorry, you are not going to get funds. Second, start with small things rather than thinking something big bang or out of the box, which will be delivered after 3 years or 5 years, what generally we do. So there is a saying that let the good best not become enemy of good. So start with good, aspire towards the best. I'll take 2 minutes to give one example. Recently we were planning to build one bot in our organization. So the one idea was to have something on NLP and create a jazzy bot which can do. But then later on we realized, do we have real data to train that bot? It should not happen that you market that bot and you do not, bot is not trained enough to get those queries because you need to train that bot. So what we did, we went for a layer 3 structured bot. And what we did, we connected it with our internal systems first. And second thing, what we did in this case, that we identified where the users were facing major issues. And third thing, what we did, instead of developing on some platform, we used our Microsoft platform itself. Sorry, I'm mentioning the name. But we could market that bot within a month and it has a great success. Beyond, in fact, I was also not thinking that it will be giving so much of output, but I'm happy to share that it has reduced the traffic on our websites by 62%. So this is what my thoughts are. Keep your aims clear, keep them short, and go step by step.
Thanks, Deepak. And very important points, guys, that we have been talking about it, and he has given a good insight about it, is that we have to keep our targets short and tangible. And that is where most of our failures of the project lies. because at times the gesture period of the project is like 4 to 5 years, and it is intangible where we cannot really quantify the cost and benefits of it. However, one important thing that you have also put up to your point is that we need to build that trust and the feed to the bot. I mean, if I make a bot right now, but what is the feed to it? That is also very important. Otherwise, the garbage in and the garbage out, right?
I'll just take 10 seconds. I think one of other point which you really mentioned is, completely agrees. How do you sell the idea to your management of giving the budget to you, right? What is it that, okay, I'm spending $1 million, and what is that I'm getting out of it? Am I replacing some, bodies for a better, job, or am I giving you increased uptime, increased throughput, where you can do more business? I think fantastic. That is how you actually sell and get what you want. Just going and asking for money and getting flat on your face doesn't make sense.
So just one thing,
Yeah.
In between I was discussing something to my top management. So what they say, we don't understand technology, you tell us how it get translated into business. That's it.
Yeah, very well point. Taking the things from here onwards to Mr. Swaminathan, the trust factor which Mr. Deepak and Mr. Murty has also mentioned in their discussion. So, how do you feel that we should be building the trust while mitigating these risks for offering real-time and scalable services? And do you think that the Indian banking system is all geared up for that? What are your thoughts onto it?
Actually, the one thing which I want to really say nowadays when we talk about scalability, we are in the era of it is population scale. The scalability which even Nandan Nilekani often talks about is that we have UPI transactions hitting it's hitting really the sky, and the transactions, the digital identities that are being put in open space. The open bank, open banking, open APIs, open data now. So everything is going to this account aggregator thing which has happened. It's now data is open. Everything is getting opened up, and the risks that are associated with such things are humongous. And many of the fellow panelists were talking about it. The amount of you step up your game. You step up your game of increasing the customer experience, you opening up a lot of new things. Similarly, that digital theft, digital identity, risk proliferations, all this happens at scale. So UPI transactions happen, social engineering happens at scale. So you need to depend on, I will say fintechs, I would probably name, after seeing Intellica's here, intelligent focus probably is the name that they have given. So you have to have such focus on the solutions that it will help you to really create profiles, write profiles, risk profiles, and rewrite risk profiles based on the AI. It's not just writing. Today he is a low risk customer and his behavior changes. And after that, it has to rewrite that he is a moderate risk. No, he is high risk. So that type of solutions is what banks will require. Banks require such data and this thing. Not only that, you cannot keep writing stories to make people understand. So it should be data visualization is also very critical. Because otherwise, how do you consume all those data, all those reports? How long you will be reading stories about certain things? They have to be very specific, and the areas of concern only it should highlight. You cannot have umpteen things and then go one by one. They should tell you do this, do that, what is affecting more, what is affecting less, how things will scale, and it's at population scale. And this new lot of things are happening in this world about data specifically, and data is the new currency. Earlier it was oil, now this has become currency. I do not know what it is going to become tomorrow. Okay, so probably the data will be the digital collateral that every consumer leaves, and he will probably be allowed to sell that. Probably if I am allowed to sell my timeline that where all I have visited the last 1 month, and probably that would really help somebody to set up something. I think I should get money for that. So every consumer would get money for that data. So again, I'm just quoting the speaker, Nandan Nilekani was talking about digital collateral. See, collateral is properties. Earlier we were saying that as a security. Now the word they use collateral, and this is word across they say collateral. So digital collateral, it becomes like your property. It's like your financial asset. This becomes your digital asset. And based on that digital asset, somebody can lend, somebody can suggest a pension policy, somebody can do this. So there's a lot of things happening in this world. For that ultimate, without AI, this ML and RPAs and solutions which are intelligent enough to tell you what is right, what is wrong, things are going to be pretty tough for this banking industry. Banking industry has to depend on such automations, rewrite process flows, rewrite risk profiles, upgrade the systems, and not depend on the legacy things. Open up the data, you provide financial information, you consume financial instruments. So FIUs, FIPs, financial information providers, users, everybody has to be in this. So those who are very good in customer service, I would say, ecstasy that what you give to the customer are going to survive in this world. And so the world is stepping up towards population at scale, and I think banking, we are in the cusp of all these things, and I think the game becomes step and step better. Thank you, Neha, for this question, because and I would also appreciate the fellow panelists, very privileged to be in this August panel, that there was so much of thoughts flowing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Swami. And I now, with the conversation that you have ended up, it's leaving me with the thought that days are not really far off when I'll be paid for when I expose to the firms how I spent my, 1 month salary probably. So those are going to be the days when I'm going to even pay for those, for that information. Okay, moving next, Mr. Deepak, what do you think, what are the use cases on the global markets about the AI? Can you just narrate some of them? Since we are talking about all Indian markets.
So, there are, to be very honest, now if you go through all these websites, be it Amazon or Flipkart, so we all know how this prediction engine works, and these are the proven case around it. So I'll take one, again I'll take you to the business. So what is the biggest challenge we face in business? Can anyone help me to tell? Biggest challenge? When, of course, we all are into business or supporting businesses, some of company representatives are also there. So long back I studied that the biggest challenge we face is predicting the demand. So if you know the demand, you can always manage the supply. Either you can borrow or you can create your own facilities. But knowing the demand is the biggest challenge. There, the AI can certainly help you. So, of course, one example which comes to my mind, of course, nobody would like to recall those days, COVID. So if you see at that time, there were certain mathematical models came, and they could predict the cases exactly and when the peak will come. So if you have such kind of models available, so definitely the government, that can be debatable that how it was managed and all, but certainly I would say those models helped government and the hospitals to work backward and create the supply towards the demand. Second use case, I would say Netflix, most of you would have now by using it. So there was a time when it started in US, there's a good, of course, case study also around it. So they could flare their business because they were knowing the demand, what customer wants, rather than just selling the DVDs or cassettes and asking them to deposit in one areas. So that was the one good, I can say the company which has evolved through AI. So the main crux of AI or bots or anything, be it a small or a big use case. The only thing is you need to know what your customer is demanding. So I'll just narrate one small story. Long back we all have read it. So there was a tailor in some village and there was an elephant and he used to go to take bath to some pond, and while coming back this tailor used to give him one banana, and elephant used to give him one flower. So one day the tailor was not there. He asked his son to take care of his shop, and the son was clueless why this elephant has come to in front of my shop. So not knowing what he is demanding, he simply poked that needle in his tongue, and the result we all know that his shop was of course by elephant. So this is where the crux of AI is. If you know what your customer wants, you can clear your business. Second thing, I would say when we should not look the technologies in silos. This is what we generally do a mistake. So if a bot is a bot, AI project is separate. So databases for both the I would say projects are separate, teams are separate. So we keep repeating the things in different projects around all these technologies. But if we see, they all are underlying. I'll just give one more example what we did. So in our organization, generally on Friday evening, most of our databases or these applications used to get slow. And our help desk also, they used to get flooded with requests, this is not working, that is not working. And we were really puzzled what to do. So what we did, we deployed a simple bot. We asked users, whenever you face any difficulty, you don't call this help desk. Of course, we tried that you maintain a log, you do this, who called and what, but it didn't work. So we simply gave them a bot. We said, whatever difficulty you face, you just type it. This is not working, that is not working. And help desk will take care of those. So in backend, we integrated that with them, our help desk, and the bot was not doing anything. It was just collecting the information what users are facing. And the second thing what we did, we connected all those applications log with some database just to cater the activities what are going on. So to our surprise, we used to think our report server is not working or our CBS is getting slowed. But the issue was in our EWS system, early warning system. So there was a frequency that you need to close those observations during the week. So most of our users on Friday evening, before going home, they used to start logging into that system at 3 o'clock and try to close all those observations. Now this system was taking inputs from CBS, from report servers, so it was generating load on these applications. So when we realized, and of course through when we connected these two dots, one was from bot and second was from AI. So we could find the issue. So now the solution, either you can increase the capacity, or what we did, we told them instead of doing it on Friday evening, we spoke to their group heads also. We said that you do it on Wednesday afternoon. And this is how, without spending any money on any of these applications, now everything is fine.
Thanks, Mr. Deepak. And one last question to Mr. Sashi, and which is really troubling me since 10 minutes of our start of the conversation. Do you think these AIs, RPTs and all those stuff are going to threaten my job, or it will yet be safe?
So, first and foremost, banking is not new to disruption by technology. For the last 100 years, enough and more technology innovations happened in the banking industry, and right from ATMs, there are multiple things, cards, everything has lot of changes have happened, and amazing resilience from the banking workforce. There's a lot of talented folks. They are highly resilient. They adapt to the change. So fundamentally, that should not be a challenge. So the way to see the technology is, it's like you are a airplane pilot. Only for landing and takeoff you are required. Everything else, it's an autopilot mode. So it is, the technology is making sure all the passengers are safe. So if I take the liberty of speaking in Hindi, banking 2% ka dhanda hai. 2% margin business. Even many banks even operate at 1% margin. It's just the leverage that the regulator gives to operate. Otherwise, anybody can get into banking and can make this money. It's the most commoditized business, right? But margin leverage, 6 multiplier, 5 multiplier, 8 multiplier लगा के 8% 15% कमाता है, right? So it's just a matter of making 5% error. You will wipe out all the last few years of profits. So one bad year can wipe out last 5 years of profits, and again you are really looking for opportunity. Look at who holds the maximum UPI transactions in the country. None of the banks. All the banks put together doesn't even have a double-digit number. That's the ground reality. Banks have already become a backend. BASS, they call it as bank as a service. So banking as a service. Banks have already become a backend. Technology companies are running UPI. That's the ground reality. We like it, we don't like it. So regulator is protecting the banks, and also the business model is protecting the banks. So as long as this business model is there of leverage, as long as we are minimizing the errors, we continue to be in the game. We've been continuing to be in the game for centuries, not just today. And even the largest bank, we have seen enough examples, are vulnerable to fail just in a matter of 1 year to 3 years. As long as they are not managing their ALM, they are not managing their risk management. So this AI, what it is going to do is, it is going to improve the accuracy better and better. I can go micro and tell exactly this particular person in this particular situation will go bad, otherwise this person is good for this rate. So even if you give $100 trillion to Bill Gates and ask him to buy Mars, he will become a defaulter. He will not be able to generate enough cash, right? So everybody will have enough limit above which they will not be able to pay, and the same repayment ability will change depending on the situation. So all this information explosion, all this AI will help us to go micro and understand that specific person's use case and help us protect the industry, not just the jobs. It helps protect the industry also. Otherwise, we are always at a risk of every 5 years, 10 years event.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Swami.
Just to add to that, I remember 2 quotes. The one was last year I got the opportunity to discuss with regulators upon the up to what limit the artificial intelligence can implement in the banking or in any sort of a processes to replace the human. So very nicely the senior person has mentioned that machine ke gulam mat bano. So this is what the regulator has came out at that point of a time. It was last year, just like in August 2022. But as you see, the recent regulation change which has happened, the AI and ML has been asked to utilize by the banks. So this is what the importance of these aspects, which can change the complete fundamentals of the processes, what you implement, or how you look at the data. However, I also remember the recent quote by Mr. Narayan Murty, when the question was asked to him that, whether the chat GPT can replace the human. Very nicely with a smile, that gentleman has answered that no matter at what level the AI or the chat GPT can be utilized, there will be always a human intelligence which will be used to choose these technologies, how efficiently they can replace certain processes or maybe the data analytics. So this is something I wanted to leave the thought to everyone here, that and to answer to the NEHA's question also, whether it will replace a job, that there will be human intelligence will always have that importance, no matter how advanced we become technology wise, So just leaving that thought to you guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Samir. Now I'm rest assured that at least the jobs are saved. So guys, let's cheer up. However, I'm opening up the forum for any questions. If you have to anybody, feel free just to pick up the mic, and probably we are there. I think that things are quite sorted.
Do we have any questions for our esteemed panel? You can raise your hand and introduce the organization, and please keep the question directed to the individual panel member. It's a generic question, then I think NEHA can take a call. Which panel member would be the ideal?
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for an enlightening session. Myself, Baljeet from Deutsche Bank. I have a question for Mrs. Samir directly. Like you were mentioning that although we have technology around and the AI is helping in identifying, but human resource still plays an important part, considering AML being a very high concerning factor for the government as well. So I want to know that considering all our banks and everybody, we have such a huge amount of data that goes through screening, and then the money laundering and these kind of risk and fraud are being identified. How much percentage do you think is a risk for the banking sector as such to depend on AI to identify these triggers or generate alerts or that kind of thing? Is the banking sector really on a comfort zone when we depend a high level on the AI to identify these triggers, or you think that it is still a better choice?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah. So thank you for that question. So basically, how it happens, the human intelligence changes from person to person. When you talk about the one individual who can give you those kind of intellectual inputs, which can make you understand which type of, or the risk-based analysis which you can do of the output of the alerts which are being generated by the system. However, when you talk about the utilization of the artificial intelligence or the machine learning, the standardization of the intellectual across the machine is what you gain out of, because the human can help you definitely. The main input needs to come from the human, but the process doesn't become the human dependent. It becomes the machine dependent, the machine which are the standardizing in the output or utilizing the data. Now when you talk about the generating the alerts, now you know that the kind of a volume of the alerts which generate on a daily basis, it becomes impossible for the humans to tackle to that, right? So that's where the utilization of the data comes into the picture. However, how much dependency you have on artificial intelligence or the machine learning, the first input needs to be given by the human itself, right? So when we talk about utilization of the AI more efficiently over the human intelligence, it's what is the time-saving resolution, because the human can utilize the data but might take the hours of the days to utilize that data, churn that data, and then come out with the output. However, the AI and ML can give you those things in the minutes. So that is what the human needs to choose between the machine and the human, that where it is rightly fitting to your requirement, because it is not always necessary that AI can take care of everything. It is human intelligence is something which is more important, because AI is always a data driven. The past data, unless the human have that created data in the past, the AI will not work at all, right? So it is a kind of a very smart choice how you utilize the human against the AI, or the AI over the human being, So it's up to your choice, basically, how you make the choice as per your requirement. So that's all. I hope I could answer your question, right?
Just add to what Sir has said. So basically AI is what doing, it is adding variables to your decisions. So being when you do some analysis based on your human intelligence, so there are 2 or 3 variables which you can add. But when it comes to AI, so there are different variables. More and more data, you have more and more dimensions you can add. But your point is very valid, that how we can trust these models. In fact, there were the instances in US itself where that process denied Barack Obama itself to issue one credit card. So there I would connect it to the question which was asked by NEHA earlier, that is it going to take jobs? So this is where the jobs are going to create, to validate these AI models, how much efficient they are. But there is no choice. We have to go in this direction only.
Thank you so much, panel members. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we have one question, one final question. Please keep your hand raised, sir, so that you can get the mic. Please introduce yourself and the question to which panel member.
Yeah, hi. I'm Kapil from ICICI Bank. So this is actually a new digital frontier, and we see that AI, RPA, Big Data Analytics. There are many possibilities that we foresee in the coming years with the recent past that we have seen with the ChatGPT. Now, my question is, as of now, what parameters do you feel will be relevant in order to understand which AI should we go for? Because there will be different case studies that you, the esteemed members of the panel, you have seen in your career in the recent past. So what parameters have you used to decide which particular AI should be gone for? What is the statistics? Because it's very difficult to quantify the intelligence of that particular model. So how do you go with this particular problem?
Actually, see, unlike mathematical equations, the satisfaction level of this AI engine is properly working, what type of engine I should use, what are the algorithms that you use to extract. The output is actually, it's up to you for the output that it is valid for me like that. So everybody will have certain benchmarks for this. For example, let me just give you a small example. They say that if the success rate of face matching, face recognition by an AI algorithm, say is 87%, and some other AI engine gives you 75%, which you will take. 87% is better than 77 success rate. So it is trial and error. They can improvise that particular equation and see good matches coming. Okay. So if you always see this AI ML things, they always call false positive. The negatives, all those things are all based on the output that comes out. Okay. And machine also steps its own, the algorithms also steps its own output based on the availability of data crunching. I'll also take quick example. We are all so many billions and millions of people, right? If you want to you put a pattern to it, on the shoe size of say 5, 6 to 12, you can group everybody. Similarly, everything there is a pattern that arises. Which AI engine catches that pattern perfectly will be a best AI engine. So there is no definite prescription like you take morning, evening, after meals, you do these things, then you will probably, your disease gets cured. There's no such things here in AML. And you step up that engine by your own human intelligence. So if you will say NEHA talking about the artificial intelligence and human stupidity. Okay. So humans wants to be stupid for the level that the engines do that job perfectly. That's what it. And so I would simply say to you, the best AI engine is what gives you most satisfaction of what you need. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. So there is, in nutshell, what I would like to just sum up to what his discussion was, that there is no perfect suit or no perfect shoes for everybody's fit. It has to tailor to yourself, and you have to identify which one suits you best. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Neha, for summing it up. And ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for this wonderful panel here. I would now request Mr. Shalin Trivedi, Director from Intellicus, to kindly do the honors of felicitating this wonderful panel of experts here. Shalin, welcome to the stage. We'll start with Mr. Samir Bhatankar, Vice President AML and KYC from DBS Bank. A big round of applause to Samir. And thank you so much, Samir, for your wonderful contribution to the panel session. Followed by Mr. Sasidhar Vavilala, Executive Vice President, Business Intelligence Unit from Suryoday Small Finance Bank. Thank you so much, Sasidhar, for your wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next, we have Mr. Swaminathan Krishnamurthy, Vice President and Head of Strategy and Planning from ESAF Small Finance Bank. Thank you so much, Swaminathan ji, for your wonderful contribution in the panel session. Next, Next, we have Mr. Deepak Bhatia, DGM IT from Exim Bank. Thank you so much, Deepak, for your wonderful contribution in the panel session. Next, we have, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Murty, Industry Thought Leader on Banking. Thank you so much, Mr. Murty, for your wonderful contribution in the panel session. And next, ladies and gentlemen, our honorable moderator for this wonderful panel, Ms. NEHA KABRA, Head AML from DCB Bank. Thank you so much, NEHA, for your wonderful contribution in the panel session and wonderfully moderating the panel as well. I would request Samir if you could join the panel for a quick, Shalin, if you could join in for a quick group photograph of the panel, and request the panel members to kindly come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our wonderful panel on the new digital frontier, AI, RPA and Big Data Analytics. And what a wonderful